Hello, and thanks for coming along to And We Have an Office Dog, the digital agency podcast where we talk to agency owner-directors and learn more about what makes them tick. From the things that make them similar to the things they'd rather have known sooner, where they've had success and where they've learned some hard lessons. All will be revealed with your host, Chris Simmons, the agency coach, and he'll be talking to a different awesome agency person in each episode, asking them 4 questions and seeing where the conversation takes us over the next 25 minutes. Okay, so let us begin. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, voiceover guy. And on the podcast today, we've got Karl from Revolancer. How are you doing, Karl?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Thanks for coming along.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So for those who don't know of Revolancer, tell us all about you guys. What do you do? What are you famous for, shall we say?
Sure. I don't know if we're very famous yet, but we're trying to make an impact.
There you go.
And what we're trying to make an impact in is the freelancing space, because for a long time I felt that the freelancing space is unfair to freelancers. And with Revolancer, our goal is to give freedom back to freelancers by just giving them, more flexibility, giving them more ownership over their relationships with clients and how much money they take home, because a lot of freelancing solutions right now take a large commission fee when they connect freelancers with clients. So we're just all about making the world better for freelancers. And then in turn, by having happier freelancers, we have more satisfied clients as well.
So would you say it's an agency for freelancers to support agencies and businesses themselves as well?
I'm not sure if I would describe it as an agency, but I suppose in a way it is. It's more of a kind of a platform, because we have at the moment nearly 17,000 freelancers on the platform. So I don't know. I think an agency is probably going to be a bit more bespoke and personal than that from the company side.
And how long has the business been running?
For about 2 years at this point.
Nice. That's quite. So you started probably at an ideal opportune moment, given COVID and the sudden burst of freelancers that came into the space as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like I say, I've been aware of the issues in this space for a lot longer than that, but I saw what was happening in the world, COVID lockdowns. Saw the big platforms weren't adapting at all, so I thought now was an opportune time to do something better.
Nice one. So what do you think's been one of the biggest successes of running the business so far?
It's a good question. I suppose it depends what exactly you define as a success. I'd say, for me, one big success is that it's the first time that I've secured outside investment. It's also the first time I tried, the first project where that's something that I tried doing. But we
100% hit rate.
Yeah, I suppose. But we secured venture capital backing in the pre-seed round, which is something that is quite hard to do. So that was a combination of talking to the right people, luck, and just really trying to do our best with what we can.
And who would you say then, over since you've been building the business, who's the core customer? Obviously, there's 2 sides to it. One would be the freelancer, but who's on the other side of that? Who typically engages with Revolancer from a buyer's perspective?
Sure. So it's predominantly small to medium enterprises that have a need. Maybe they can't afford an agency, and they also can't afford to hire someone full time, so they hire a part-time freelancer. That's the number one client. But then the another kind of smaller cohort is of larger enterprise customers who want a team of freelancers to deliver a project for them. So essentially almost creating their own temporary agency of freelancers to deliver a project.
That's cool. So if you could go back, it's only 2 years or so hopefully you can cast your mind back with ease. If you go back a couple of years to the point at which you were sort of building the business at the very beginning, and knowing everything you know now, what would be one piece of advice you'd give yourself that would maybe spring you a bit further forwards more quickly?
I'd say doing a lot more market research at the beginning, and by that I mean speaking to customers, so going to freelancers and truly understanding their needs. I think in many ways I got quite lucky because I was freelancing myself. I started freelancing at the age of 14 and did that for a couple of years. So I was quite aware of the issues that freelancers are facing, and I think that there was luck involved in me guessing correctly, and that this was a hit. But going back, I think we could have gotten more things right from the get-go if we did a lot more kind of user interviews, speaking to customers, and then using that to shape the product rather than thinking this is the right product and then trying to sell it to the audience.
So, side question: thinking from a digital agency's perspective, because often digital agencies will pick up freelancers from time to time when they need capacity issues or when there's a technical need that they can't fulfill internally, but they want to deliver for a client on a larger scale. What would you say would be like a key difference between the likes of Revolancer or against the likes of Upwork or Fiverr or something like that? I'm not saying that there's a direct competition there, but there seems to be a similarity in how it works. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're also a freelancing platform, just like the other ones you mentioned. We're just trying to tweak certain things to make it better. So if you're an agency, that's looking to outsource to a freelancer, and it's for an important client project, I'd say in this day and age, probably a good chance you want to hop on a quick Zoom call just to, make sure you're on the same page. You can't do that on any other freelancing platform. And the reason you can't do that is because these large freelancing platforms typically their revenue relies on taking a commission fee. So they'll take about 20% of the freelancer's earnings. And if you can hop on a Zoom call with the freelancer, you could very easily agree to sort of, pay in a different way. You pay less, they get more. You pay 10% less, they get 10% more, something like that. And then the platform loses out. So they have to stop that.
Lock it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you charging like a subscription fee or a membership fee then from that perspective?
Exactly. So with zero commissions, we have an optional monthly subscription fee. And because we don't rely on commission fees, we can and do allow video calling and exchanging of emails and whatever to take place.
Nice. That's pretty cool. So if you were to go, like I say, going back in time, you give yourself that bit of advice. Do you think that you would have had the time to do the additional bit of market research? Because I know that when you're starting a new business, it's really exciting. Obviously, you were in the space yourself, so you were essentially a member of your market research panel. What would you have had the time, or would you have been able to make many changes based on feedback?
Well, I mean, seeing as where we are now and the journey so far, I can't sort of sit here and complain too much. I think we've done quite well. I think it's a combination of getting things right, talking to the right people, and luck is obviously a component too. But yes, I do absolutely think there would have been time, because doing that kind of thing at the beginning saves so much time down the road, because then you're not sort of tweaking your product constantly, trying to get it to work for your audience. You'll kind of have the right answers up front in that case. So yeah, it's just shifting where you spend time.
And over the last couple of years then, what do you think there's something that you did early on and you went, oh no, we're going to stop that immediately, that isn't working?
Oh, lots of things. I mean, at the beginning, we wanted to, I was thinking we should monetize by charging a lower commission fee than is the industry average, so like 10% instead of 20%. But quite quickly we figured out that's just a kind of a silly idea, because we're shooting ourselves in the foot, because we're generating less revenue than we could have otherwise. And for freelancers, I mean, okay, you get a tiny bit more, but it still leads to other issues like like the off-platform communication being restricted and so on. So it was silly, and we moved away from that.
And it is a differentiator, realistically, between quite a lot of the other competing businesses there. What do you think something then conversely that you did almost perfectly on day one that you think has really kind of set you up for long-term future success?
Speaking to people who have done things before that I haven't. I did that from the beginning. So, when it came to fundraising, I didn't know what I was doing. So I spoke to people who had successfully fundraised or who had invested in other companies, and to figure out what should I be doing. Or when it comes to pitching or to marketing or to whatever, I always reach out to people who have done it before. For example, one of our advisors, in fact, our first advisor, who's been there from, about 2 months into the business, is Matt Brady, and he's the founding chief marketing officer of Just Eat. And obviously his insights are extremely valuable from that experience.
Been in a few good meetings, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'd say that's something which I think we've done very well, and, we'll continue to always be humble and talk to people who know better and then really learn from their experiences.
What's the future look like for the business? Where do you want to aim? Where are you pointing in the distance?
Well, to permanently change the freelancing industry for the better, because I think right now it's broken. Freelancers are being disadvantaged. Because of that, clients are struggling as well to get quality work. So we want to fix that by, improving things for freelancers, and then ultimately improving things for clients as well. So whether that's making so much noise that other platforms are forced to copy our ways, that's a win. Forced to buy us out, that's a win. Or we become a dominant player in the space, one of the largest players, and then again, that's a win. So one of those options.
That's awesome. So if someone's listening right now and they're thinking, not of starting a competing business, of course, but thinking of starting an agency or starting a business of their own, which aims to fix something, because everyone starts a business hopefully to try and change something that they didn't like in the first place. What one piece of advice do you think you could give them that they could take away and thank you for later?
Well, I mean, it's cliche, but it really is the most important thing, and that's just being persistent and not letting failure really bother you. Because if you fail at something, which you will, I mean, I failed at most of the things that I've tried. As long as you learn from that thing, then you're failing forward, because then the next time you try, the chance of you failing is lower, and you're going to know, kind of much better. I once heard that it takes the average self-made millionaire 12 attempts to get their hit.
I'd love to see that data.
Yeah, I'll have to dig it out. The thing that I heard is that the average self-made millionaire has 7 income streams, which is quite interesting too.
Okay, I've got a long way to go.
But no, I mean, regardless, so it's really important to fail forward. And actually really to embrace failure. I'm very thankful that I failed at a lot of different things, because if I would have been lucky and gotten it right the first time, which is always a possibility, then I wouldn't have learned anything, and I wouldn't have been able to recreate that. So
absolutely, and I spot on. Totally agree. I think failure is a big part of learning, and resilience is absolute requirement in order to fail forwards. If you don't have a good amount of resilience towards failure, especially in business, it will traumatize you to the point where you don't go and take the next step when an opportunity presents itself, or you don't see the next opportunity, or you take the next opportunity a little bit less risk, a little bit more risk free, to avoid the personal feeling of damage at the end. So no, it is good advice, and it sounds cliche, but not the way you put it. So keep giving it out.
Sure. Will do.
Thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Karl.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And in our next episode, we'll be speaking with another agency leader to hear about their story and the lessons they've learned along the way. And thanks very much, everyone, for listening.